With India and the world fast moving towards smart and sustainable mobility solutions, BASF partnered with ET Now to present Future Perfect 4.0 Mobility of Tomorrow, a platform committed to showcase innovative solutions to cater to people's development needs. The evening began with an address by BASF India's Managing Director Narayan Krishna Mohan.
BASF has in its DNA innovation, and for the last 150 odd years we've been innovating for mankind. So what does mankind typically do? We want more, we want better, we want to improve quality of life, and that throws up a lot of challenges, not only challenges to society but also to the planet, whether it's resources, whether it's nutrition, whether it's health, whether it's mobility. We have the challenges. We create those challenges and then we somehow find solutions to fix it. Even in India, we've been present now 75 years, and I must say it's been a wonderful ride. BASF and the Times Network together have launched a series of Future Perfect. The whole platform provides industry, our peers, the regulators, government, a platform to discuss about the challenges and address the needs of society and industry, which then feeds our R&D pipeline, where we can develop innovative solutions. I must say what's changing, for example, the Delhi Metro or the national highways, it has added a lot of value to the country, it has improved quality of life, and I believe when we are done with most of these new investments into infrastructure and innovation, it will be a better tomorrow, it will be future perfect. Mobility of tomorrow, so someone was asking me, what do you really mean about mobility of tomorrow? We are talking about automotive, where we still have materials, we have solutions regarding battery materials or cooling systems or the coatings which give aesthetics as well as corrosion prevention. So we will continue to invest in India. India is a strategic market for us, and I'm really anxious to hear what more opportunities you are going to give us to invest for your future. Thank you very much.
Thomas Edison once said, and I quote, "There is a way to do it better, find it." Well, for 75 strong years, BASF India Limited has constantly endeavored to innovate and find ways to provide sustainable solutions, especially in the automotive sector. So, to tell us a little bit more about BASF's legacy of creating chemistry and to further shed light on its solutions for the automotive industry, I'd like to invite the President, BASF Asia Pacific, Carola Richter, to come on stage, please.
We all believe there's still a big room for development, and we also believe that chemistry play a very important role in that. We want to contribute to a world that provides a viable future with enhanced quality of life for everyone. Well, sounds like a very big target. The question is, how do we want to do that? And talking about the pillars of BASF, how we want to achieve that, I want to mention the 3 pillars which are very close to our heart. First of all, talking about sustainability, we want to make sure that we produce sustainably, but also our suppliers are. So we do that with audits, of course, and we want to make sure that the suppliers actually understand our rules and the laws of the countries we are operating. Also, we want to be a fair and reliable partner. We understand that with you as a customers, we can only be successful if there is a win-win on both sides. And last but not least, we want to connect creative minds. And thank you for coming, because that's what we want to do with you. What you see in front of us is actually the excerpt of our new corporate strategy. Very importantly for me is talking about the customers, and even more important, talking with the customers. We want to fulfill customer needs, but even more importantly, we want to anticipate your needs. How do we do that? It cannot work alone with BASF. We want to provide the expertise in chemistry, but we definitely need you as customers and your competence. And with that, we want to find solutions for profitable and responsible growth for all of us. Innovation. In earlier times, that was pretty simple. We had a research lab, or many research labs in our headquarters, and tried to invent the future for the world. I think we and many other multinationals learned that this is not the way how to be successful. So what we are doing for many years now is that we have understood that we do our innovation not only in Europe, but even more so in Asia, even more so important in India. So 25% of our innovation is already happening in Asia, and we do not only do that for Asia, we do it for the world. Make in India, this is not only your government's vision, this is also our vision. We have understand that India is a very strategic market with very good growth, maybe not this year, but we are very confident it will grow also in the future, and of course it has been. We are present in different parts in India, not only with sales offices, but also on the production side. We have a site in Mangalore, in Dahej, where we are proud to having ramped up our Celasto plant just recently, and also in Chennai, where we do our mobile emission catalyst. We have inaugurated a new line meeting the new standards which are given by the government. We have globally 1.3 billion cars on the road worldwide. What do we expect? We expect a beautifully designed car which is comfortable, which is safe, very importantly affordable, but as we know, we have limited availability of fossil fuels, and we are aware of the climate change. These are all the challenges we are all facing, and we want to make sure that we can provide efficient solutions for this, for lowering the emissions. Thank you very much.
Coming up, an absorbing panel discussion with some of the most exciting new faces of the Indian mobility market. Stay tuned for more on Future Perfect 4.0 Mobility of Tomorrow. The Indian mobility market is being reinvented by exciting new players in the industry. 5 esteemed guests were invited to discuss their vision for the future. They were Amit Gupta, founder and CEO, Yulu Bikes; Gaurav Gupta, Chief Commercial Officer, MG Motor India; Charulata, Electric Mobility and Clean Energy at Natural Resources Defence Council; Chinmay Pandit, Head of Vertical Commercial Vehicles, KPIT; Andy Postlethwaite, Senior Vice President, Performance Materials, BASF Asia Pacific.
Thank you so much for joining us here to talk a little bit of what you think the future is, what is the existing, and what you're looking at in the Indian mobility scenario.
The way we are seeing how India is transforming when it comes to mobility is the composition of vehicles is changing drastically. I think, ACEs, right, which is autonomous, connected, electric and shared. I think the S is almost a done deal with Uber and Ola and some of the newer companies coming in. So that's a wave which has hit us, and that's kind of stabilizing. When it comes to electric, it's also picking up and it's getting very interesting. There are a few uncertainties around policy, which I'm sure will stabilize, and you'll see electric also coming, getting permanent. When it comes to connected, I think every company which is coming out with vehicles is really talking about connected and using it to help and enhance customer experience. So connected is also is a fact, and you'll see it playing out. And when it comes to autonomous, that's something we'll have to see how it makes sense for India, because I think the primary drivers may not be present in India for all you know.
On the regulatory side, we have Charulata, who's doing a lot of research into what are the smart solutions for India and how infrastructure needs to catch up to provide consumers with these smart solutions. So we'll hear from her as well.
We've been working on clean energy solutions and clean transport solutions for almost 30 years now. working on EVs globally for 10 years, and in India, we are now working with state governments to support them in developing EV policies, to help them implement those policies, looking at the different business models, which are available for charging infrastructure. How can those models be made more attractive on the ground? What are the international best practices that can be brought into India? What worked internationally? What didn't? What could be useful for our country?
Okay, Mr. Amit Gupta is already disrupting the scenario in India, so we'll hear it from him.
At least my vision for India, we have a lot of people and very less spaces in the cities. So adding more cars probably is not the answer. Most likely our answer to big cities probably will come from Hong Kong, Singapore, where they have adopted mass mobility as the mode of moving lot of people. And then services like Yulu, which are created for short distance mobility, can serve the first and the last mile in a most eco-friendly manner. So essentially speaking, while there will be people who will be buying their own cars, we probably need Uber and Ola because sometime family has to go out for a nice dine out. So those needs will be there. But the most obvious use case in our country, when people move from home to work and vice versa, we are talking about, at least I believe that the answer is metro, buses, group mobility. And then they coexist with services like Yulu. So that's where I think our country needs to be growing.
Well, I'm going to definitely let Gaurav counter that point that people don't need cars, because MG Motors has come into India and is actually sold out. They actually had to stop taking bookings at a certain point because they realized that people are really wanting to buy cars. So Gaurav, I'm going to leave that to you.
Thank you, Renuka. Let me just talk briefly. We are a new entrant to the Indian market with India's first internet car, the MG Hector. If I go back in time, when we were looking at studying entry into India, I think what stood out was the entire pillar of connectivity and electric, where there was a big room, more from a customer experience perspective. And I think using our entire global resources, we looked at entering in the segment, providing the connected vehicle, and soon we'll be also launching our electric vehicle into India, which is a pure electric SUV as well. So that's the way we see it. When we see ACES, you're right, shared is there. The C and the E part is something that we are working on, and I think it's going to take a lot of collaborative effort.
Thanks, Gaurav. Really well said. And I think, Andy, you can take that a little further on the collaboration. And also, we're talking a lot from India perspective, but I think India has a lot to learn from global perspective as well. Learning from other people's mistakes and probably not making them in our country. So maybe you could give us a little insight into that.
A couple of months ago, I had the honor to be at a presentation of one of the largest Japanese OEMs. And basically the message they were wanting to give to BASF was the automotive industry is now pretty old and established. But over the next 2 years, it's going to go through more changes in about a 2-year period than it has in its entire lifetime. Yeah? And we certainly see that coming. And India is an emerging country with a high technological capability, which means you're late to the party of EV somehow, but that party hasn't been that much fun for anyone else so far, and I think you can watch and learn what's worked and what hasn't worked in many other countries. Does electric have to be the solution for India? If you look at the modern ICE, developed with lightweight plastics, with if we look at the next generation, what we talked about, the next generation catalysts coming, not tomorrow, not with Euro 6, but after this, with turbocharging, you're ending up with very, very environmentally friendly ICE engines. And what about hybrids? And what about hydrogen? So I don't know the answers. I think the challenge for India will be to not have a huge car park, because infrastructure and other topics maybe is not designed for that, but also to ensure a sustainably growing Indian automotive industry, which is very important for your GDP. So great opportunities, great challenges to make that all come together.
I'm going to start with you, Charu, because it's really about the need of the hour in this country. Pollution is at all-time high everywhere. So yes, we are looking at solutions, we are looking at change. But there's a burning issue of IC engine versus EV. And they both have their advantages and disadvantages. We've been talking about it. I think in commercial area, we've really gone and moved a lot into electric, two-wheelers as well. But in the four-wheeler category, it's still a slow growth. And there are a lot of reasons for it, but I think you can lead us down that path a little bit more, and then I think everybody will just jump into the discussion.
So if we look at the transport sector, there are two major issues with the sector. One is air pollution, the other is congestion. And if you want to really solve those two issues, shared electric mobility actually is a big part of the solution, so you can't ignore that. When you look at shared electric mobility, if you look at the Indian government, they are looking at it from a very, straight standpoint, wherein the FAME 2 policy recently came, and they are saying that, yes, shared mobility is the focus. We want to bring in electric vehicles. It's a problem with the auto industry when you're pushing them to switch from BS4 to BS6, and also then introducing a new idea about electric vehicles. But having said that, you can't ignore electric mobility because the whole idea is already started globally, and India has to jump onto the bandwagon now. So I think the switch has to be made, but it has to be slow. And both the government and the industry have to sit together and decide how they transition.
Gaurav, it's interesting because you're a new entrant. Yeah. I think, you've already got that BS6 readiness because you came into a market expecting it, and you've got the EV. But do manufacturers here, is it uphill for them?
While on the drive to the panel discussion, I was kind of looking at how to really coin a single word to describe the situation of EVs in the country. And I came up with an acronym called PICKY. P as in the policy or the lack of clarity of policy in the country that we have today, and we have a lot of work to be doing in that area. I is the implementation challenges that we face today, whether it's the infrastructure, whether it is the overall how we can work together to get this happen. The C is consistency or the lack of it. We have in certain states where if you register an electric vehicle, you don't have to pay the charges for registration and local taxes. In some states, you get a green number plate. In the others, you don't. In some states, you get an incentive additional to the waive-off of the fee. The others, you don't. So there's lack of consistency. K is the knowledge. And I think that is a big, big drawback right now because there's very little shared knowledge between consumers and as well as the ecosystem partners. So many of the players are still working in silos, trying to solve and get this entire piece together as a jigsaw puzzle, wherein what requires is really collaboration. And the Y in the PICKY is actually as a U. So the government tells the OEM and the industry, you guys do it, and the OEM and the industry tells the government, you do it. So I think somewhere that is the way we can describe the situation right now. But I think this will leapfrog. There was a study done by Arthur D. Little last year, where they predicted that within India, in the next about 6 years, there could be a 10%, north of 10% share of the EV business in the country. And this is more from a passenger vehicle perspective. We do have a lot of three-wheelers right now moving, and of course, gradually inching up in the two-wheeler space. Commercial, yes. But for the four-wheeler space, I think we have taken as MG, we took a leap forward, and we said we'll bring in the electric vehicle. So by the end of this calendar year, we go and bring the vehicle. We know there are challenges. But it's about how you address the entire ecosystem, and at least for your consumers, you go ahead and say, let's get the ball rolling. So if there is a player who wants to be a catalyst, let's be that one, and gradually people would see it. It should help dispel some myths, whether it is range anxiety or the infrastructure. Let's get the ball rolling, and I think that's where we want to take the leap and take the ownership of at least helping to build this category in India.
You've already taken that leap and brought it, to the two-wheeler market, Amit. Have you found that model working, and do you think this is the way forward for India, possibly in the EV scenario?
So I'll tell you our own journey. We decided to go vertical, and by vertical I mean that not only we designed our own vehicles, and then we ended up defining our own battery standard. We ended up designing our own charging boxes, which we have been able to place in a lot of mom and pop stores. And each box is a smart box. We know how many batteries are being charged, whether they are charged or not. the location of the boxes, etc. So rather than we setting up grid, taking permission, relying on some big companies, we said, let's take a smaller unit, the Lego block, which we can set up in any part of the city. And that's how we went about it. So today we own our design, manufacturing, we do it through a partner, the battery, the charging operation, the swapping operation, everything we do in the context of Yulu. So the answer is we will actually have a long journey for four-wheeler particularly. But for our country, 80% of the vehicles is two-wheeler or three-wheeler. Can we start making a difference? And this is what at least Yulu journey is all about.
This is all about going in a small range. I think, Chinmay, you can bring in the perspective of what happens in the commercial sector when it is really a very long range that one has to cover.
We have the electric, primarily on the public transport or the buses side, we have had the journey starting in about a year or year and a half ago. We have had our electric buses running in Calcutta since last May, and it's an eye opener of a journey, right? Because if you look at all the electric vehicles, or even if you consider only buses, 98% of them are actually manufactured and used in China. There is no experience for us to leverage. We just don't know enough how it plays out. So when all these early buses are, kind of being run, it's, almost every day is new, right? All that data which is coming in is really a lot to process, right? I mean, the temperatures which these vehicles get exposed to, the G-forces of the road conditions, the moisture, you get monsoon and you get flooded, and then you have hot temperature going to above 40 days in a row, right? How it plays up on batteries, how it plays up on motors, it's a learning experience, and all of us are processing that information. And I think having somebody like BASF look at this and ensure that we make the right calls so that the products which are put in are really sustainable, right? These are early experiments, and that's good, but I think the journey is just starting, and we need to ensure that we are learning very fast so that the solution which is deployed is truly sustainable.
As long as we provide experiences, I think there's a long way for this industry to go, and I think, that's constantly going to change, and I think there's a lot more to come. The future is not so bleak, so I think that we can end on that smiling note. Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us. Thank you.